Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the next astounding, stupefying installment of whatever it is, thing, show that this is the reading cow from another world with profound literary enhancements to our existence. Not to be missed on this episode, the first installment, Meteor, Menace, a Doc Savage adventure by Kenneth Robeson. You know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when I'm reading Ayn Rand, it sort of looks like Ken Robeson was the actual guy that wrote it. Like she was just paying him on the side, and he was writing her stuff for her. Right. Uh, the first published Doc Savage magazine, 1934. Right. So this Lester Bernardet or whatever is definitely a classic. So without further ado, Chapter 1, The Snare. There's a theory among scientists that the ancestors of the Indians in North and South America came from Asia. This probably explained how Saturday Lou could don a bright-colored blanket poncho, mingle with the crowd in Antofagasta, Chile, and pass himself off as a native son of the Andes. All right, so what's he talking about? He's talking about Tibetans look like Peruvians, uh, kind of deal, right? It's interesting that, yeah, I noticed that I was in Tibet, and I was like, wow, they sort of, some Tibetans, they really do sort of look like Peruvians, right? Or they look like these high altitude people of the Andes or something like that. And they also do this bright colored clothing that it's very, well, we could possibly be the connection or whatever like that. But Doc Savage is trying to save the planet from the deadly threat of Tibet and the Tibetan threat of world domination. All right, so Saturday Lou's poncho was not a disguise. Exclusively, it concealed an object which resembled a single-shot pistol with a barrel large enough to accommodate shotgun cartridges. The poncho also hid a long rope, 6 pairs of handcuffs, a gas mask, and an assortment of tear gas bombs. Sounds like a terrorist, right? Safety first was a fetish with Saturday Lou. The shotgun-sized implement, which was a very pistol a very pistol, firing a slug that would burst into a smoke puff high in the air, should set machinery in motion to settle the business at hand. But there was always a chance. But there was always a chance of a slip up. Hence the rope, handcuffs, and tear gas to fall back upon. What? Taking care not to bump into anyone, which might call attention to what he carried under his poncho, Saturday Lou worked forward. At least 200,000 Chilean citizens were gathered on this hill. 200,000. Outside of Antofagasta. Is that a real place? Antofagasta. On the hillside of Fagasta? Let's see. Okay, it is. It's a port city. Geography. Oh, it's beautiful too. Look at that. Wow. It is the capital of Antofagasta province and Antofagasta region. According to the 2015 census, the total population is 402,000 in 2015. You want to tell me there were 200,000 people on a hillside? Stretching it, buddy. You're stretching it. The center of attention was a high speaker's rostrum. of temporary construction. Everybody was pushing and elbowing to get closer to the rostrum. 200,000 people swarming to try to get to one guy on microphone stage. What a spectacle that was. Everybody was pushing and elbowing to get closer to the rostrum, although great loudspeakers of a public address system were all scattered everywhere and should guarantee all hearing what was to be said. "Porco!" gritted a man who had been elbowed. "Pig! Why do you shove?" "I want to see the bronze man at close range," said the one who had done the elbowing, unabashed. That seemed to be the thought everyone had. They wanted to see the bronze man. Back of the speaker's rostrum towered a structure which, once it was completed, would undoubtedly be the largest building in Antofagasta. It was possibly half finished. Its architecture was plain and substantial. A great sign hanging over the freshly mortared bricks read, "El Honor de Doc Savage." In case there should be anyone able to read Spanish, the legend was elaborated below in English. "This free hospital erected in honor of Doc Savage." Okay. So, this, El Honor de Doc Savage, it doesn't seem to be, this doesn't seem to be the same thing, right? El, right? The, like Al, right? Allah, the Allah, right? El, the, right? Honor of Doc Savage, not this free hospital erected in honor of. The building was being dedicated. The crowd was here for the ceremony to see the bronze man. The bronze man was Doc Savage, that giant mysterious worker of miracles about whom all Chile was agog. Everybody knows him. No, they don't. Making that up. In makeup, the crowd ranged from austere grandees of Castilian descent, who had driven to the ceremony in shiny American limousines, to stocky brown Aymaran Indians from far back in the Andes Mountains, who probably had come to town driving a string of llamas. The resemblance of these latter to Asiatics was startling. I noticed that, yeah. Saturday Lou was an Asiatic, so he passed among them without drawing attention. To be exact, Saturday Lou was a Tibetan. I guess I spilled the beans earlier on that. How did he get his name after the Roman god Saturn? And loo, isn't that the word in England for the toilet? I gotta go to the loo. You got a loo? Yeah, a water closet. WC. Saturday water closet. It's dehumanizing. Look, this is institutional racism, right? They're like, these Tibetans are a bunch of terrorists, and they're traveling around the world for purposes of harm to human civilization. Got to do something about it. The deadly threat of Tibetans. Is it really? The Tibetan Empire hasn't been really anything of influence in the world since what, 1,000 years ago? They're backward. Alright. As many as 1/4 of Tibetan men become monks or holy men. 25% of all Tibetan men become monks. I don't know. I have to look that up. I don't trust Doc Savage. Right? But this is the thing, folks. The psychoanalytic methodologies of propagandizing people, right? It's like, it doesn't matter if it's true. You just say it like it's true. And it's just there in somebody's mind. Oh, this is just a fact. And you keep telling people wrong stuff over and over again, and it's there in their unconscious mind. So then when you start trying to get them to go along with something crazy planning, they just do. It works. It's tested. Tibetan monks or holy men with a very strict code of morals. With a strict code of morals, does that mean to the Tibetan monks in their books they have a strict code that's written down that they don't adhere to? Most Tibetan monks I've met, yeah, they had the Playboy Bunny T-shirt on underneath the robe and the little, psychedelic glasses like the guys in the Birds wear, or something like that. Very cool and very hip, and a Rolex knockoff or something like that. I got pictures of them, man. It's kind of a good place to be. So yeah, you get on that scooter at night and ride around town, drinking and prostitution and stuff like that. So yeah. Or shaking down the tourists. Give me money! Yeah, I had the monks rush up to me and go, here's this piece of yarn. Now give us money. I hollered out, like, get back! He backs up. He's like smiling. Anyway, yeah. I haven't had it. I think Tibetan. Yeah, I don't like that this book misrepresents Tibetan people the way that it does as a threat. To the national security of the United States. I don't like that, but I also have met, Tibetans are just people, and some of them are bad. Some of them are good. Some of them just try to get by any way they can. They're just like people. But here we go. All right. Saturday Lou had never been tempted in that direction. He's not a monk, right? Oh, so if you thought that this was true, he's not one of those. All right. A more thorough rogue than he could not be found between the Himalaya mountains and the Gobi Desert. But notice it's China, right? He's like, this Tibetan is the worst of them all, right? Saturday Lou made directly for a cluster of poncho-clad men who hardly seemed to share the enthusiasm of the crowd about the bronze man. These also resembled Amoran Indians, but were swart Asiatics. Swart. It means black, right? Black Asiatics. My children, Saturday Lou hailed them grandly, make less long the expressions on your faces. One would think that you were going to your respective funerals. If there should be an error, our fate may be exactly that, mumbled a man. I, agreed another. I have heard that this bronze man, this stock savage, is very dangerous. They say those that molest the bronze man disappear and are never heard from again, offered a third. He is indeed what Yankees call hell on wheels. Look what he did here in Chile. 200,000 people have come to catch a glimpse of him. That proves he is a great man and dangerous to molest. The gun which makes the loudest report does not always shoot the hardest. What? What does it mean to shoot hard? Quoted Saturday Lou. Quoted what? You are children scaring each other with ghost stories. Stop it. This great crowd only makes our work the easier. The conversation was carried on in a Tibetan dialect, which none of the surrounding Chileans understood. In addition, voices were kept low. Saturday Lou stared narrowly at his assistants. He could see that his words had not relieved them a great deal. Several times the tobacco-colored men rolled uneasy glances upward. They squirmed and tried not to let their chiefs see these overhead stares. The skyward gazing came to Saturday Lou's attention, however. He understood what was really making his helpers uneasy. So that is it, he snapped. His voice, however, was a bit shrill. The Tibetans shifted their shoulders under the ponchos but said nothing. You fear the blue meteor, Saturday Lou accused. Aye, one fellow mumbled admission. We fear it. Suppose the blue meteor could not be controlled, said another, and shuddered visibly. You all know what would happen to us in that case. In the general exchange of looks which followed this statement, Saturday Lou joined. They were hardened rogues, yet mention of the blue meteor had conjured up a stark terror within their souls. Whatever the mysterious blue meteor was, these men obviously feared it more than they dreaded the possibility of being, after death, sent back to Earth in the form of rabbits, which in some Tibetans is their idea of going to hell. No, it's not. Naraka, yeah. Hell, Tibetan hells, it's not being a rabbit. It's a demotion in Buddhism or whatever. If you're a human being and you're born a rabbit, it means you level down or whatever. We will draw away a safe distance, Senator Lou said hoarsely. Inside this blanket of a thing which I am wearing is a signal gun. When the bronze man appears, I am to discharge the weapon into the sky. And the blue meteor will come? Asked the man. Aye. The blue meteor will come. They moved through the crowd, not wishing to attract attention. They curbed the natural inclination to elbow people out of their path, and only jostled gently. How far is a safe distance? Asked one Tibetan. A very great distance, muttered another. 200 yards, in this case, said Saturday Lou. But the blue meteor has been known to affect men for miles. 200 yards, snapped Saturday Lou. This time, it is not powerful. Tune in again next time for the next thrilling installment of Meteor Menace, Doc Savage. Excuse me. Until then, it's not going to be that.